Welcome back to section 3.3 as we talk about how energy flows through the ecosystem. So basically, we're going to talk a little bit about food chains and food webs and how we lose some energy at every successive feeding level or each trophic level. Again, we're taking that high quality energy and turning it into low quality energy. So, quick definition of a food chain is just the movement of energy and nutrients from one feeding level to the next. So, again, photosynthesis, and then we're turning it into a feeding relationship, and then that organism dies and decomposes. It's a source of nutrients and energy for the next organism. And again, we lose some of that high quality energy. It's degraded via heat of those organisms. A food web is just a network of interconnected food chains because the organism may eat more than one thing or be eaten by more than one thing. So it's this complex, more true to life scenario that we see in our ecosystems. So this would be a definition or a diagram of a food chain. So again, that high quality energy is coming into the first trophic level. That again, trophic means to feed. Producers, they make their own food. And then that gets eaten by a caterpillar. And again, we lose some of that to the caterpillar's heat, his little body heat, in order for him to survive and reproduce and grow. The caterpillar may be eaten by a robin at that third trophic level. And again, that robin needs to reproduce and grow and do his metabolism. So he's going to lose some of that high quality energy. And then that fourth trophic level, again, that robin could be eaten by a bird hawk. All right. And eventually they're all going to die and break down. And we're going to have those decomposers. Here's a diagram of a food web. Again, starting us with phytoplankton. Those producers are going to be eaten by zooplankton and krill, which could be eaten by different types of fish. And again, eaten by penguins and birds and squid, eaten again by a seal, blue whale, and eventually even a human. So we can look at the different energies in different ways. One of the ways, which is also going to be part of looking at how our butterflies grow, is looking at the total biomass within a food chain. So looking at biomass definition is the dry weight of all organic matter of a given trophic level in a food chain or food web. And we're going to expect that to also decrease at each higher trophic level due to heat loss. So, for example, our caterpillar is going to eat a certain amount of food, all right? And it's going to grow and it's going to eventually form a chrysalis. So it's not going to have all of the food it ate available for the next organism to eat it. So we're going to measure how much food it consumes and how much it increases its weight. All right. And again, if the robin ate that caterpillar, the robin also has to grow and develop. And so not all of the 100% of that caterpillar's food is available for the next level. Basically, we look at it as 90% is lost at every level. Now, it can vary depending on which pyramid we're kind of looking at. But if we look at the pyramid of energy flow, going again from our high quality energy to our low quality energy, 90% of energy is lost with every transfer of trophic level, meaning that there's less chemical energy for higher trophic levels out there. So if we look at the producers, if we're looking at an ocean system and we have phytoplankton, and if we have 10,000 energy units available at that producer level, we lose 90% of that heat unit or that energy level at the next level. So the zooplankton only get about 1,000 energy units from eating all of the phytoplankton that they can. And then from the zooplankton, the perch are only going to get 10%. 90% is lost either in the form of heat or growth or reproduction. And then finally, at that tertiary level, there's only 10 kilocalories available left for the human. So the more trophic levels, the greater loss of usable energy. Rarely is there ever more than 4 or 5 trophic levels, because the energy at the top is not going to support very many organisms. This pyramid of energy that we see here could easily help us as humans decide that Earth could support more humans if we didn't eat at this high level, if we weren't the ones that were consuming the perch. But if we could actually eat at lower trophic levels, like if we were eating the grains, the fruits, and the vegetables, we could actually support more humans on Earth because we're not losing these steps of energy in between. So again, Earth could support more if we ate at lower trophic levels. That's one of our theories. And again, the decomposers are going to break all of us down, and that's also going to give off some heat. Now, if we look at the different types of ecosystems that are out there, tropical rainforests, oceans, grasslands, etc., they're going to produce plant matter faster than others do. And so we can actually measure that amount of biomass or that plant matter. So we can measure the total amount, and that's called the gross primary productivity. And that's the rate at which an ecosystem producers convert solar energy to chemical energy and biomass. And we can measure that in energy per unit area per time. So kilocalories per meter squared per year. Right? That's the gross amount. It's kind of like your paycheck. If you have a gross paycheck, it's everything that you've earned. All right? But you don't get to use all of that gross paycheck. So we actually have to come into play the net primary productivity, or like your net paycheck, what you get when everything's taken out. So the net primary productivity is the rate a producer converts solar energy to chemical energy minus the rate the producer uses energy for aerobic respiration. So producers need to use some of their own energy for growth, for reproduction, and just to live. So this is the amount that is actually available to consumers. So we can see here in these two diagrams, right? Gross primary production is what this plant has totally made, but it's going to lose some energy off due to its own cellular respiration and growth and reproduction. So we're only going to have the net primary production, which is available to the consumers. And again, this other diagram, again, gross primary production, what is the amount of glucose produced during photosynthesis, but we have to take away the glucose used to supply energy to derive cellular processes, and that leaves us what's available or left for the next organism to eat. So looking at some examples of net primary production, if we look here, we can see that oceans actually have a low net primary production, but they actually make the most biomass in the earth itself. And that's through the phytoplankton. We can look at the tropical rainforest. It has a high NPP, and again, it has a large number of trees, a large number of plants. But we have to keep in mind, NPP is what limits the number of consumers. And we as humans are consumers. So NPP is going to limit how many humans the earth can sustain. Keep in mind, humans are only 1% of all biomass on the earth. So pretty important ideas to think about. I'm going to stop here before we go into cycles.